Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Screen, the video based podcast where I'm going to spin a wheel and then we'll talk about stuff. As you guys
And
can
we
see,
helped.
yes, these fine people known as the Geek Scorpio and Jesse's Girl have helped contribute these items to the wheel. The wheel which I've been too lazy to clear and turn into anything else other than my video game backlog wheel. So, let's see where we land. I can't even see it.
That sounds so satisfying.
I know, right? Okay, it landed on Dreamcast. So, games we want to play for the first time again will be our first topic.
Oh, okay. So you want that whole brand new experience for the first time.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh.
So let's spin one more time for the second topic of the night. And that is Spin Again, which was add-ons to enhance the gaming experience.
Oh, I know what
It
I found out.
doesn't include, like, it has to be peripherals, or I don't remember what the stipulation is.
So not peripherals. It's just an add-on to the gaming experience.
All
so
right.
like
We'll see.
peripherals maybe depending on the on the game that you're justifying. Like I'll explain. I remember I put that one though.
You did. I
Yeah,
had
I
to
don't
kind of
know if
shorten
I'll
it to make it fit on here the way I needed it to.
I don't know if I'll have a contribution to that one. That one's a weird one.
It's a bit
Oh, it
odd,
is.
but I mean, I've got some because Capcom allowed us to do things. All right. So, our first topic will be games we want to play for the first time again. Now, this is pretty much, I mean, realistically, we can go anywhere with this. It can be a more modern game, or it could be something from our childhood that we want to experience with that same mysticism.
Ooh. In that case, I've got like at least
I've got a few.
possibly three. Like I got a few. Try not to spend too much on some of them though.
That's all good. Who wants to go first?
Me, I've been good.
Okay, well, we'll get you going, Leo.
Yeah, I'm just excited for it because there's two games that popped into my head immediately. Like, and one is and one was single player, and one is multiplayer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so, like,
can I make a guess?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Risk of Rain 2.
Surprisingly, no.
XCOM 2.
So also surprisingly, no. Although those are good picks.
XCOM 1.
So, single player wise, and this is just because of how much I missed the wonder of it all when it first came out, because
Fallout 2.
Yes, Fallout 2. It's like
Okay.
Well, Fallout 2 took everything from Fallout 1 and like made it better, and due to the circumstances of how I was playing it, I didn't play Fallout 1 first. I played Fallout 2 first. And I still loved Fallout 1. I think that game is amazing. But I only played Fallout 1 for like once or twice, and I loved it to death. But I was hanging out with a friend of mine who wouldn't a friend of mine at the time who for some reason or another like misplaced the disc, and so we couldn't go back to play in Fallout 1. So we ended up playing Fallout 2, and I just fell in love with everything on it. Cuz like and it started right from the get-go. Because until this point, I hadn't played a game that would give me so many options, but felt so natural. And anyone who's played back in those Boulder Gate series, and you get some pictures of Fallout 2 going on this. This is all over that.
Yeah, I've got page up too.
So with that, there's like the sense of wonder comes up with that because like until then, and you never bumped into a game that felt like a tabletop RPG, and I played this before I played tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
And so Fallout ultimately at some point got me into tabletop RPGs because of it.
Interesting. All right, so we're talking like pen and paper, right?
Classic pen and paper. So fun fact with the Fallout series, at least for these two, when they designed the skills and the charts for their abilities and such, they designed it. Oh yeah, that's That's the old. I think that's the old lady who runs the camp that you're in. But the way they designed it is they designed it from pen and paper. Like they treated it like building up a complete pen and paper game for it that they
Right.
never got around to. So everything in it was designed with that. And what was it? I once someone once like back then I was a little jaded on that. Someone was like, "Hey, Leo, I've got this RPG that you could play. I think it's pretty awesome." I go, could I be the heavyweight champion of the world and save a couple of towns and stop a whole nuclear disaster and get married and possibly have problems with in a relationship? Oh no, I can't. Okay, you know what? I'll put that in the maybe pile.
Basically, it was, yeah, but is it Fallout 2, though?
But is it Fallout 2 though? And keep in mind at this one of the other reasons is up until this point, which is 1998, I think. Almost every RPG I've been playing has been JRPGs on the SNES or JRPGs in general.
Mm-hmm.
And until this point, I didn't have any. It's just and Fallout even just was so different. All these other RPGs that were around, even ones that were made in the US, were all high fantasy. This is post-apocalyptic.
Very different setting from what we were all used to at the time.
Oh yeah, very different. And it was amazing. And I also really loved, and it was a thing that they did in Fallout out for that, but they didn't. You don't see it very often. And they sort and kind of a couple people had. So when you beat the game, especially like Fallout 1, and it's not a spoiler, it's just the method of how they beat it. They go over a list of town to town and your interactions with that town and how the town survived as an epilogue.
Okay, so yeah, the same way they kind of did Fallout 3's ending.
Well, Fallout 3's ending comes because of this.
Right.
Fallout 1 did it first, and then Fallout 2 did it, and then so on and so forth. And the genius with Fallout 2 is the same kind of genius with Fallout 1. It is one of the few RPG games that you could beat, even though it's combat focused, without combat.
Okay.
And that like blew my mind back then. Like you could feasibly be a pacifist and save and beat the game, or never bother to pick up a gun and still manage to beat the game.
Right, kind of so just like what Deus Ex pushed for later.
Yeah. Or about the same time. I don't remember when Deus Ex came out. I know Deus Ex was a big thing.
Like 98, I think.
98.
I think it was 99.
Are we making a bet on this?
I don't like to bet money because
You were closer.
Oh, let me guess, 2000.
Yes.
Yeah, Year of the Trench Coat, man, because that's Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, which I think was 2001. Shh.
Don't correct me.
Yeah, no, right? I was close, but not quite, so I lost.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Fallout had that sense of like tabletop RPG and just got me into a whole new experiencing RPGs in a whole new world or new light, just because of how much like JRPGs I've just played up until that point.
Right, for sure. Huh.
Mm-hmm. I have a second one, but I think somebody else should want to go after me on this one.
I mean, I'm good if you wanted to go with your next one. Doesn't hurt my feelings any.
Okay, so the other one that I would love to experience a second time brand new is Rock Band.
Really? Okay.
Rock Band is an experience the first time you do it, especially if you happen to have all the peripherals from day one.
This is true. So Rock Band specifically, not Guitar Hero.
Not Guitar Hero, Rock Band.
Okay.
Which I always love the thing about it is, I believe, because Rock Band you have a band. You know, you have your not just the guitar, you also have the drums and and all the peripherals with it. So
yeah,
the
you
drums,
have the microphone,
guitar,
and then the bass guitar for a secondary guitar.
Yeah. And then the regular guitar too, and then there was intermingled with some stuff. But yeah, so like it was a thing, and
Yeah.
it like Guitar Hero was like it came out first, and Guitar Hero was all okay. We've got a guitar, and then Rock Band came out, and like this is an actual thing. And then when you can
We have
do that,
evolved to the next level.
yeah. And Guitar Hero just kept making another like one or two more Guitar Heroes. That is personally my favorite of the Rock Band series is the Beatles.
That's why I posted it.
Yeah.
See,
Oh,
I'm a weirdo. I personally do not like the Beatles music.
I think it's just to each their own.
that's a
It's
to each
true.
their own type thing. Um, and there's not really anything wrong with that. But I like the way they did the Beatles because they had to do it as a documentary or an anthology style. So, and also the Beatles are the first of the Rock Band series that introduced harmonies. So unlike
Okay.
one mic, you had three mics that were there, so you could
Okay.
harmonize your lyrics together.
That's actually really interesting that they would
Mm.
intertwine things like that.
Yeah, I was watching the thing on it. I thought it was interesting. There's like three a bunch of huge changes they had to do just to get the approval. Because at this time for the Beatles Rock Band is Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono.
Uh, I know the history of that whole
Yeah,
thing.
but the
Everyone
thing
blames
is that
Yoko.
so here's some music trivia for that. So the thing is that with that, the rights to all the music songs to for the Beatles, especially which is most of them are what's called the McCartney Lennon um, collaborations. So the songs written and performed by Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Half of the Beatles,
Hmm.
and, and uh, musically speaking, is one of the best written songs there. There's like a whole lot of origins. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a whole thing on its own. Um, but with the Beatles, when they did that, they didn't really manage themselves really well, and so what happens is that the songs were controlled by the studio. You fast forward into the '80s, and what happens is those the McCartney Lennon songs start become available to be purchased again, and so at this point, Paul McCartney is still a really important dude in music, and he tried his best to scrounge up as much cash as he can so he could just buy the rights to his own songs. Okay.
Right.
However, he couldn't outbid the next guy. The next guy is Michael Jackson.
Oh, get what? That's so messed up.
The thing is that Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney worked on a song together that they performed called "Say Say Say." And with that, they just started talking about different things, and he's like, yeah, you know what? And proper investment is a musical investment. If you can do it, is to invest in songs because you can have the rights over with. And Michael Jackson, like, cutely just told him, you know what? I'm going to buy your songs. He's like, oh, that's funny. Hated the man ever since because essentially he buys the right of his songs that he wrote constantly and would just license them out to whatever to make a quick buck for it.
That's got to
And
be like heartbreaking, man.
It's got to be like heartbreaking. And he just was Michael Jackson in the '80s, which had money on top of money. So he just every time he's like, I'm just gonna keep bidding as much as I can. I own like the bones to the Elephant Man. I don't care. I'll make a rock concert. I'll pay for this later. And so like he had those rights up until like about a year or so before the Beatles Rock Band came out, because then he bought the rights to those songs and then allowed Harmonix to make the Beatles Rock Band, but with a couple of different special stipulations. One, they had to follow the history of it. So when you were going through the game's story mode, you only unlock the songs as you are playing them through or
Through
you
their
can only go through the story
discography.
mode as the discography. So like some songs that are in there on that. And another thing that was kind of interesting is that they had to be true to the. He wanted to make sure that they were to the music. So normally, in like any of the rock bands or Guitar Heroes, the audience starts to either singing along or starts getting pumped up because of how well you're doing. For the Beatles Rock Band, though, the song just seems more improved, and that's like it's been remastered, and that's it. So it was more important to them to make it sound closer to how the Beatles recorded it in the studio than it was to have that whole impact of the audience itself.
Right.
And they wanted it basically to be as historically accurate that they could do and still be a fun Rock Band game.
Weird. Huh. That there's just so much that went on behind that most people aren't even ever going to know about.
And it's specifically the Beatles Rock Band that they put that much effort into it. So much so, like, partway through the game, instead of playing you have to go through the historically big concerts that the Beatles do, and then there's a point where the Beatles don't go to any concert at all, and they did just a couple of studio albums. So they have weird dream sequences for those that you have to play through.
Why? Like, oh my gosh.
For funsies, I guess.
You know,
and like
it's one thing I actually kind of started to not like about all the music games is when they started releasing, Aerosmith edition, Beatles edition. What was another one they did? Green Day edition. It's like, guys, you're making this too restrictive. You need to maintain the variety aspect.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I really like Beat Saber, where they're just like, oh, here's like, for $2.99, add on, these 5 songs from Imagine Dragons if you really need to listen to Imagine Dragons.
Right. Well, realistically, there's more DLC for Guitar Hero and Rock Band than there will ever be for anything other than a Tecmo Koei game that involves boobs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know if you know this about the Rock Band series, but when you buy, so let's say you get Green Day Rock Band or Lego Rock Band, so they're designed to be played independently. However, once you have those songs in there, they're automatically ported. Into Rock Band. So if you're playing regular Rock Band, you have every song of every game that you've ever gotten for Rock Band, with the exception of the Beatles. It's the only one that you can do that.
That's interesting.
But you still have to buy full-priced other Rock Band games to play. It's like buying expensive DLCs.
Right. Huh.
Or if you have a local game store like we do, I just bought them there for like $2 for the same price as the Bouncer, and just uploaded all of those together because they still have the original upload codes.
Wow.
Huh. Yeah. So Rock Band for me is the most expensive game I've ever had, because it was such a fun experience that I didn't want it to, I still have all the Rock Band stuff, my Xbox 360, and every song I could throw onto there.
You just didn't want it to end, so you just kept going and going and going.
Yep. And by the end of it, so if you I made it to Rock Band 3, which had the keyboard add-on, so there was keyboard stuff too.
The keytar.
Keytar. And I got mic stands for the thing.
Oh, boy.
Goober.
It's one of those games, too, that most people don't, really understand until they've played it. Just it's almost like going back to the idea of couch co-op again, because you kind of have to be in the same room for this to work.
That's the only way you can play a Rock Band, and it's just kind of really fun to have everyone doing couch co-op and feeling that cooperative, that true cooperativeness, because you're trying to get everything going for it. It's just amazing.
It's kind of like a party game, but without being a party game.
Exactly.
Very nice.
But yeah, that whole getting 4 my random friends together, like, okay, let's do this Rock Band. All right, I shelled out like $150, $100. Let's see where this goes. Let's see what this is, and if it's worth it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to buy some more. You're going to take my money after this, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Music touches people in a different way than a lot of other media does, so it's understandable.
Only on the doll where the music touched you.
So
right here, where my heart is.
Right here. You guys can't see it, but I've got a poser doll, and I'm touching it.
Mm-hmm.
This is awkward.
I would love to get a group together to play the Beatles Rock Band again. The Rock Band itself is the reason why I still have an Xbox 360.
I'm dropping stuff as I try to put the poser doll that was hugging my mic before down, so I can clearly speak at the mic. All right, well that's very interesting that you would go with Rock Band. Fascinating. How about you, Liz? What have you got up your sleeve for something that you want to experience for the first time again?
Mine are going to be very predictable.
Jesus, let me guess. Is one of them Alan Wake?
One of them's Alan Wake.
I mean, I get that.
So Alan Wake, when I first played it, so the first time I experienced it, my sister's boyfriend was actually playing it. I spent, I think, like 5 days over at my sister and her boyfriend's house, and Kent is my sister's boyfriend. He'd gotten Alan Wake and was just like, "Hey, yeah, I got this new supposed to be creepy game. Do you guys want to play it?" And I was like, "I'm always down for a creepy game." And I stayed the night at their house, I think, for like 4 or 5 days. And we played, I think, 1 chapter a day, just so we were like not inundating ourselves with it. But every single night that I played that game, or that we played that game, I had weird dreams.
Oh, God.
Every single night. But like not like scary dreams, just weird ones. And really like I don't know, kind of on brand with playing Alan Wake for a full week. And then like every time I play it, almost inevitably every time I play it, I start having weird dreams while I'm playing it. And I love it. But it's such a good experience. Like it's really well voice acted. It looks beautiful. The character models don't hold up super great now, but like they still look good. But like the scenery is beautiful and the voice acting is incredible. The soundtrack is incredible. Like I just remember this being one of those games that
the story is fascinating.
It is, and I love that they continued it in Control, but no spoilers because I know you haven't played it yet.
Thank you, because I do actually plan to get to that.
Oh my gosh, it's really cool the way that they're bringing it all together. So, yeah, and it's just it's one of those games that was like mind blowing to me. I just love it so much, and I thought the mechanics were really cool and all that. And I could just gush forever about Alan Wake's, but I won't. So I'll save that for when I'm doing the Extra Life charity and I'm doing the Nightmare run of Alan Wake.
Oh,
I'll be there.
Pray for me.
I have not played through on Nightmare yet because I was actually mad because I had gotten all of the manuscript pages, and
Except the Nightmare ones.
And then I heard that there was extra ones in Nightmare. I was like, God damn it!
Yep, I've literally never played it on Nightmare mode, but I did a recreation of Alan's manuscript pages. I need to actually get the right paper so I can print them out.
That's some Cthulhu looking motherfucker there.
I honestly
well okay. So anyway, and I'm playing the Nightmare mode for the Extra Life charity, and I've never played it before on Nightmare mode because even playing it on normal can be really frustrating. So pray for me and my sanity on that day. I'm doing it for the kids. I love it. I love this game so much. Easily one of my top favorite games.
At least from the 360.
Like in general, overall.
In general?
Yeah.
Do you not know?
I do, but I'm baiting.
Oh.
No, just overall in general. Hang on. I had this one's so my second one is a little bit more personal. So I'm just gonna list some like runners up ones that I would love because I'd absolutely love to play Chrono Trigger for the first time again.
Wait. Guys, depending on this, do you want us to just runner up our stuff later or what?
I'm just gonna wind up. I'm just gonna do it now.
Do it.
And then Nier Automata, because I am still so moved by that story and by everything about that game that like I would love to be able to experience it for the first time again. But my second game that I wish I could play for the first time again, but I feel like it's got such caveats to it because I got to it at a time in my life when I was not at my best. And I don't think I've told this story here before, but I went to school in Hawaii for a while, and oddly enough, I was super depressed while I lived in Hawaii. I was going to school there and I was kind of following my cousin's dream, because I wanted to be an artist, but my aunt and my cousin had spent a lot of time kind of telling me that there's like no money to be made in art, and there's no point to it, and blah blah blah, and like I wasn't good enough to do art full time, and it was all very like downplayed my
They basically talked you out of your dream.
Yes. So I moved to Hawaii with my cousin, and we started studying Korean together, which is something I had enjoyed for like years and years and years prior. Like 1999 is when I started really like listening to the music, like K-pop and stuff, and I started teaching myself the alphabet and how to read and write it and everything. And but after a while, I kind of started falling out of it, and I really wanted to go back into art, and got talked out of it. So while I was in Hawaii, I was really depressed because I wasn't good at the classes we were doing. Like, it's going to be really weird. Like, I love writing. I do a lot of creative writing, but I'm not very good at, like, with English classes. Like, and this is all going to come around, I promise. But I'm not very good with, like, the English, like, saying this is a predicate and this is the, whatever, like the parts of speech and all that stuff. And so taking a linguistics class when you have to like graph sentences, I was like, I don't understand. Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Right. And so I was just, and then studying Korean, like again, if you don't have a good grasp, if they're like, oh, you go like this and then conjugate to this, and I'm like, I don't know what part of the word or like what part of the sentence that is. And like, I can write, I'm a good writer. Like if I can brag for a second, like I'm a good writer. I understand when you put commas. I know when to use a semicolon versus a colon, but that doesn't help you when you're trying to learn another language. And so I was struggling. I was really depressed. And that winter I went home for 2 weeks for winter break. And there were 2 games I played, and both of them were amazing. One of them was BioShock, but that's not the one I'm going to talk about, even though that's an incredible game.
Definitely an interesting experience.
Yes, it's my sister scared the shit out of me the first time I was playing it, because I was playing it, and she knew, like, when you first step out of the bathysphere that one of the splicers jumps by, and she, like, came up behind me while I was sitting on the couch and did that, like, wah! Thing, and grabbed me, and I screamed. I was so mad at her. Like, not seriously though, but
would you kindly?
I love that whole game. But the other game that I played was the 2008 Prince of Persia, and
okay, the Nolan North one.
Yes, and that one, like, I don't care about anyone's feelings about the game. Anybody who's like, oh, it's not the original Prince, like, no, the Sands of Time Prince is also not the original
Exactly.
Prince.
It's like, neither is the one that you're talking about or thinking of, so get over yourself.
Yeah, like, there's the number of people that told me they hate the 2008 Prince of Persia on principle alone because it's not their prince or whatever. I'm like, it's also not, your prince isn't the prince, by the way, if you want to get all technical about it. Anyway, feelings aside, the game is gorgeous. Like, that's some of the concept art.
Oh yeah, the art of this game is absolutely amazing. There's no denying that.
Oh yeah, like, but when you look at the game, like these ones that Leo and now I'm posting, these are like in-game pictures. Like, that is just what the game looks like. It's gorgeous. It's such a beautiful game. I love the gameplay mechanics. I love the boss designs. I love, like, I think the bosses just look so cool. But there's also like little things in the game, like when, like, if Elika and the prince are on, so the one that I just sent, that's the enemy, the alchemist. But if they're like on a beam together, and he needs to get past her, I'm so used to Kingdom Hearts where you're just like, get off of here, Donald, like, Goofy, move aside, and you just shove them off. Right. But when you're playing with Elika and the prince, when you need to get past them, he'll actually like they'll take their like they'll cross their arms so that like their wrists are essentially crossed and they hold each other's hands and like swing around each other.
Right.
And that way they can get past each other without knocking the other person off. And like when you need to climb across, because they wanted her to be as like non-intrusive as possible. So when you're climbing across a wall, rather than dealing with her AI trying to mimic yours or whatever, she just climbs on his back. And so you're crossing these cliff walls with vines, and she's on your back, and she like helps you do like, rather than a double jump, she helps you do a long jump because she's got her magic, so she like throws him across essentially. Like, the game is beautiful, and I was watching Kent play this, and it was like in that moment where I was like, I'm an artist, and that's like what I'm meant to be. And so it's a very personal experience to me, but I feel like wanting to replay it for the first time, it's so embedded in a particular moment in time with particular feelings that I was having and everything, that like I don't know that playing it for the first time would actually mean as much,
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it's a mixture of the time that it came for you.
Yeah, the mixture of it, like the time it was in my life, and all of that. And so I love the game. I'd love to experience it again, but it really did just come at the right moment in my life, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with how beautiful it is, and I just remember sitting on the couch watching Kent play this game. It's beautifully cel-shaded. It's so beautifully acted, and I just remember being like, I'm an artist. And that's what I have to be. Like, that's who I am. And so when I went back to school, I flew back to Hawaii a couple days. I went down to the office and I redeclared my major, and I switched to the art department. And then I came back, home, and went to a completely different school, because going to school in Hawaii is very expensive.
I believe that.
It's like, so if you, because they want to encourage more people to go to the University of Hawaii, they actually offer anybody who lives in the West Coast states, and that's like Oregon, Washington, California, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, and I think Colorado and Wyoming, I think, they will actually offer them discounted. So you don't get out of state tuition, but you don't quite get in-state tuition. It's like a medium there, but it was really expensive, and so I came back home and I did a completely different major. And I'm not doing anything with an art degree, but I don't care. Like, that's not the point. The point is I'm actually happier now than if I had stayed doing something that I didn't love and following my cousin's dream. And so, like, it's a very personal experience to me.
Oh, for sure.
But if I could go back to that time, it wasn't a healthy time emotionally and mentally for me. But if I could go back to it just to replay this game, I think I would. And then Alan Wake, Chrono Trigger, and Nier Automata.
So it's a weird thing too for me with this game, because I was getting more critical in my thoughts when it came to video games in general. So I actually had a problem with this game.
Okay.
And the problem was that there is zero, and I mean zero,
chance of dying.
Yeah. Like, there's no repercussions for your inaccurate actions. It's like you're not being punished for making mistakes. It's literally you're just writing through the story as the entire game. And that bothered me at the time. I was very upset by that concept.
Mm-hmm. I can get that. I think that so this is going to be something a little off topic. So firstly, there is a part of that actually completely breaks the story at one point. And like, I overlook it because the game means so much to me, but I did notice it. There is a point when you're fighting the concubine. She traps Elika, because by this point in the game, you've become very reliant on her to save you.
Right.
And you can't. And so she traps Elika. She takes Elika away from you and traps her, and you're trying to go and save her, but you can't use any of the magic because she's not with you. And so you're just like kind of desperate to get her back, because you're like, I have to have her. But there's like a point when the concubine takes Elika away from you, if you accidentally plummet to your death, Elika still comes and saves you. And I remember being in the moment, like, still in awe of this game and going, what?
Like, wait a minute.
Now that makes no sense. But if I can explain a little bit, so back when Hollywood Video was going out of business, I went and rated all of their sales. And one of the books that they had on sale was the collector's edition of the Prince of Persia guide, which comes with interviews and art and stuff. And I read these interviews, and there was one where they were talking about the creation of Elika. And they specifically said, they don't care if you love her as a character. They don't care. But they didn't want you to hate her as a character, because they didn't want to have any negative emotions surrounding her, because if you hate her, then half the dynamic of the characters in the story are gone. Now you don't care about the story. And so I'll see if I can find it, because I've got the book right over there. But they didn't want to have any negative anything attached to her. And they were like, we don't care if you love her, but you can't hate her. Like, we don't care if you just like her, if you just tolerate her, but we don't want you to hate her. And so they were like, they don't want any negative emotions surrounding her. And they wanted it to get to a point where when she is taken away from you, it's almost like you do feel that hint, that like bit of desperation where you're like, no, I have to get her back. Like, I need her back. To kind of like, it's almost like emotional manipulation via gameplay, but like in a way where I'm not mad at it. But that's why they took out the death mechanic, is because they didn't want anything negative associated with her. Yeah, I'll see if while you're chit-chatting if I can find that interview. But I thought it was a very interesting concept and a very interesting take on it, because, you know, just it is a different way to approach it, but they wanted to just completely wipe everything out that people knew about having like an AI companion. And it's like, you know, like Resident Evil 4, no one likes babysitting Ashley. Like, you know, you might like her character, but there's going to come a point where you're like, God damn, Ashley is making this boring. And like, there was, you know, the first couple times you get her back and then she gets kidnapped again. And you're like, no, I have to get her back. But then there's this point at the end, and I remember this moment very clearly. I got Ashley back, and then she like almost immediately got kidnapped again. And I was like, oh, good, I don't have to think about her.
See, I never had a problem with her. That's a little bit different for me.
I didn't hate her, but I much prefer her in the suit of armor where I don't have to babysit her.
Well, right.
Like she's just, you know, fine on her own.
There's really only one spot in the game where she's directly with you that you don't literally have the option to instantly tell her to get in the damn dumpster.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's only one time like that where it's like it's a desperate horde moment, and that's when you have to get the wrecking ball into the wall to open up the exit. Like, every other time where there's a bunch of enemies coming, you can literally just tell her, get in the dumpster, I'll come back later.
I watched a speedrunner play Resident Evil 4, and they actually know a way to bypass that part. Like, not bypass it exactly, but make it so that the enemy AI doesn't even know Ashley's there. They, like, trick it.
That's awesome.
So, really quick, I'm skimming through this. So, in this interview, one of the guys says, in the traditional video game sense of game over, you suck, would you like to continue, yes or no, insert another quarter kind of death, but there is no game over screen here. You cannot get a game over screen in the traditional sense, and I know most people that complain about this right now on the forums, they just don't get it. They think it means there's no challenge in the game because as soon as you fall off something, you immediately respawn on that same thing. But the fact of the matter is that the game over screens are an archaic leftover of coin-op console arcade days. That's why game over screens were invented, to leech more quarters out of punters in the arcade. And now that gaming has evolved as an art form, as an entertainment medium, I personally find the game over screen to be a real waste. It pulls you out of the immersion. It completely eliminates any sense of flow. It breaks the story. It's an artificial penalty. It's not the one I was looking for, but I thought that was a really interesting tidbit as to why they took out the game over screen. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, because sometimes a game over screen gives you that sense of like, okay, I can get back into it. I just need a second.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry, just this one last little bit.
Yeah.
So the guy who's talking is named Ben Matz. And he says, I did an interview recently and we spoke for about 45 minutes about Elika and only Elika. And I said something that they thought was very funny, and it's been quoted and kind of bounced around the internet a lot, which is, it doesn't matter to us if you love her. It doesn't really matter to us if you like her. You just can't hate her. The second you hate Elika, the second you resent her, the second you're frustrated with her, the whole experience comes tumbling down. Because then suddenly you're going to resent having to use her power, right? You're not going to want to use her power. You're going to be like, ugh, I've got to do this stupid magic power with this dumb girl. And that's not at all the experience we want. So we had to be very careful to make sure that Elika was never a negative. And that was kind of a guiding light that helped us sort of pull together treating Elika as a thing rather than treating her as a person. It helped define, which is out of context would be awful.
Wow, that devolved very quickly.
It helped define her personality. It helped define her abilities. It helped define her game design. It helped define everything about her as a sort of guiding principle. She can never be negative. So, for example, we said if she can never be negative, that means she can't die. Okay, well, that immediately sets certain things about her. Like, obviously, she has to be magic. Well, boom, there's one thing that's already answered. She has to have magical powers. In terms of never being negative, it helped us define her personality, too. She can't be too strong, but she can't be too weak. If she's always kind of cowering in the corner, then immediately you're going to feel like you're babysitting her, and it's going to be like, this isn't interesting to me. But if she takes too much initiative, if her personality is too strong, then it feels like she's in charge. She is the heroine, and you're just kind of following her. I mean, this is the game of a prince, right? So he's the hero. He's got to be the star. And then they just go on to talk about how they balanced her AI and how they made her the way that she is. But this game means a lot to me. So Elika's magic design, I actually have tattooed on my leg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a picture of it.
No, her design's excellent. I mean, there's no getting around the design of things in this game just being phenomenal.
And that's the thing is, like, people's feelings aside, like, it's just a personal game to me. It means a lot to me.
Oh, yeah.
On a personal level. So, like, and I understand the criticism. Like, believe me, I understand.
You're like, I'm not going to be that.
I get it. Yeah, like, I mean, I can look at a game that I enjoy and a game that I love and be like, no, I get it. Like, I love Final Fantasy 13. Not the strongest game in the series. So, like, I understand why it gets the criticism that it does. It just, to me, I'm really willing to overlook it because of how much it means to me.
Right. And shortcomings are just shortcomings. It doesn't really pull the whole experience down necessarily. It falters in one particular section. To some people,
right?
Even.
You can still love something. Like, this is something that me and one of my roommates used to yell about: is you can love something and still point out its flaws and find fault with it. Like, and it doesn't mean that you love it any less. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, we all know how much I love Alan Wake. I'll be one of the first ones to tell you that its gameplay can be janky as hell. Like, until you get to American Nightmare, where they smooth a lot of it out, like, it's janky and kind of sucks sometimes. Not all the time. It actually still holds up pretty well. It plays really well, but kind of janky. Anyway, this is my tattoo right after I got it. It's loading. So that's why it's still red around the edges. But
I got it. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my rambly tirade about some of my favoriteest games of all time. Or ones that I would play over again.
Ones you want to re-experience for the first time.
That's the one.
Experience again for the first time.
Yes.
No, I know that there's a runner-up round. I've got a couple I want to shoot out real quick.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
Dragon's Lair, and Time Traveler, because of how you experienced them in the arcade. When Dragon's Lair came out, there was nothing like it. In Time Traveler, it's a 3D holographic video game in 1991 using legit holograms.
Probably one of the most expensive games ever made.
And that's the only way you can play that one that way. Mario 64 is another one.
Kind of magical for sure.
And my personal favorite, which seems odd, Uncharted 2, but not for the reason because specifically when I was playing it with Liz, because I watched her have there was so many weird graphic errors and such that happened during that game, and just watching her have a heart attack every time she seen me dodge, like somehow still alive.
No. This isn't just 2, Leo. This is the whole series. Leo's very difficult to play certain types of games with. And Leo doesn't get into cover when the screen is grayscale and he's dying until me and Krista are like, Leo, get into cover! What are you doing?
It's like, no, I got this, though.
No, and then he wouldn't have it, and he'd have to duck. The one time, this is something that I was like, okay, like, fine, just prove me wrong, game. So in the beginning of Uncharted 2, when Harry and Nate are breaking into that one, like, palace or building or whatever, and it's trying to teach you, it's like a tutorial level, and you're supposed to be, like, learning, this is how you stealth, this is how you climb, this is how you can kill people from a ledge. And there's this one point when a guard, there's like an edge of a balcony, like a long balcony, and he's like standing on the edge of a balcony, and you can either go down that balcony or you can go down a hallway, and it makes like an L intersection. This guy is standing at that L intersection on the balcony, facing down the hallway, and you're supposed to climb up the banister, or like climb to that balcony part. And you're supposed to grab the guy and throw him over the edge and then climb over so he doesn't see you. And Leo just goes up there and is button mashing and not listening. And he climbs over the edge of the balcony, onto the balcony. All while I'm going, no, Leo, the guy's going to see you. You're supposed to be stealthing at this point. Except Leo just happened to climb directly into the guy's blind spot. So instead of getting caught and and needing to because he didn't stealth the guy and throw him over the ledge, Leo just stands in his blind spot, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself then, okay? Cool game.
I'll just go lay in traffic now.
I know! I'm like trying to tell you, like, no, you're supposed to be stealthing right here. And then the game is just like, he's good.
Yeah, no, he sees nothing. It's fine.
I was like, are you kidding me with this? And then Leo just pulls out the gun, shoots the guy in the head, and I'm like, fine.
No, I choked him out, and I remember that, because it's like, almost like he goes up, all right, I'm not getting paid enough for this. Just do whatever you want, man.
Just take me out. End it now.
Take me out.
Like, there were just so many times where he would just not go into cover and he fires from the hip, which is very different from how I play, except I did learn to play control that way. Just fire from the hip, and it's like, it leaves you so much freer to do other things. But yeah, Leo just fires from the hip. He doesn't aim any gun. And so it just like Nathan Drake just running wildly through a battlefield, and Leo doesn't aim. He just shoots and hopes. So he's losing health, somehow hitting enemies, and then me and Krista have to be like, get into cover! Because there were several times when Leo died while playing Uncharted, because he didn't get into cover in time. And so we would have to scream at him to remind him to get into cover. Meanwhile, he's just like, I'm fine.
It's like, what are you getting cray-cray about? I'm fine.
Like, they were more mad at me if I was actually fine by the end of it.
I know. If there were times when we were screaming at him and he didn't die, we were like, this is bullshit.
You cheated.
It was like really fun, but also really stressful. There was just something really stressful about watching Leo play Uncharted. And so I would be like, I gotta play for a little bit. I need to feel that sense of control. Except in 3, I was like, you can play the last half of 3. I refuse.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of 3 either.
I didn't realize what I was getting into.
The first half of 3 is so good, and then the last half of 3 just really falls flat, and I didn't tell Leo why. I was just like, you just get to play the last half of 3, and you'll see why. And then he got through the last half of 3 and was like, Yeah, that wasn't really fun. I was like, nope, that's why you played it.
I just remembered I was talking to another friend of ours, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm playing through it. Just don't spoil it." He goes, "Wait, did you get to the?" I'm like, "Apparently that Liz was telling me that at some point I'm going to be disappointed," and he's like, "Mm-hmm. You'll know with the moment you
I
get."
told Leo, like, as soon as we got into the ship graveyard, and Nate and Chloe get separated, or Chloe leaves, and then Nate gets like punched out and he goes to the ship graveyard. I was like, here you go, Leo. I'm not playing anymore. And yeah,
I was like, why do I feel disappointed all of a sudden? Like a wave.
Yeah, and it's like it like hits so suddenly where you're like, oh, the ship graveyard actually isn't that fun, but you get through it and you're like, it's okay, we'll get back to like the puzzly sections and stuff. And then you get back to there's no puzzly sections.
The fun never comes.
It never happens. And then the ending is just a QTE boss fight, and it's lame. And like Marlo and Talbot are never fleshed out enough to feel like proper villains.
It was all sorts of sad.
It's unfortunate.
But it's okay. 4 and Lost Legacy make up for it. And then you just replay 2, and 2 is amazing.
It's very true. It's very true.
Anyway, sorry, that went off the rails again.
No, it's all good.
Usual.
All right, so I've got 2 I'm going to mention with some runner-ups at the end, but one of them is, I mean, obviously a little bit of a, well, I say obviously. It's obviously obvious that one of them is going to be Final Fantasy VII for me.
Hell yeah.
In no small part.
I see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have my PlayStation Network thing, you would see it's an icon of Cloud.
I need to change my PlayStation icon.
You keep doing that.
Yeah, well, it's currently of Ellie, and I gotta change it.
But yeah, for me, like much like you with Prince of Persia, it's just a matter of when the game kind of was presented to me, I guess, if you will. Because for me, it came out in 97. I was 7, and I was also struggling to read. But I was fascinated by the hype and the cover for this game, and it was kind of like a reward to myself that I would be able to experience this game in its entirety if I could get a grasp on reading.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what happened. Was I kind of like I could read a couple of words here and there. Like I played other Final Fantasy games, but I didn't understand anything that was happening. I was like, oh, this top one here is attack, and this one here does all kinds of other stuff because it opens a different menu, and I don't get it. But I was like 5, 6 years old, not knowing what's happening. But 7 was like I buckled down. I got a handle on my reading shortcomings, and then I experienced the game. And so much of that game is the atmosphere it creates through the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it had such good sound design.
It really does, because the music in Midgar sounds like it's made off of industrial equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And that really kind of drives home this, this kind of bleak, overly built world that you're in. And it's not even the world, it's just this one city. And like you really have to kind of roll yourself back and think for a second. It's like a quarter of this game's entire plot happens in this one location. And you don't really realize that. Because once you leave the city...
Midgar, when you leave Midgar and you just see the rest of the world, it's like this amazing, like, there's a whole world outside of this place.
Exactly. And I actually watched a speedrunner. I watched a speedrunner on it, and he finished the game in, like, 7.5 hours, somewhere in there. And they left Midgar at 1 hour 45. So it's like this game, like literally a quarter of this game is in this one city. So it's...
I love watching speedrunners. That's like a side note, though.
Yeah. But, and there's so much that this game can, like, really show someone and they can experience and glean from it. The unfortunate truth of it, though, is the localization is very dated and it was very compressed when you think about it. And that's the unfortunate truth with most RPGs is they're more concerned about the number of text boxes than they are about getting the full point across. With Japanese text, you can effectively have a paragraph in 3 characters, so you can really get a lot more information to the player in fewer text boxes.
Mm-hmm.
But they really in order to keep things streamlined, text boxes are basically kept the same. So they're not going to add more text boxes just to give you more depth in dialogue.
Right.
And it's, I think, a similar thing even with Squall in 8, you know?
Yeah. I feel like, especially back when, I don't know, like RPGs, they're so hefty. And so especially when they're coming over back in the 90s and it wasn't as big of it, like nowadays there's whole whole sections of studios for translations, and
yeah, not just 3 guys down in the corner office.
Yeah, that are like to make it sound decent or whatever. Like, here's $50. It's do a
Get
job.
This done, or you're missing lunch.
Right, and like, I feel like, especially back in the day, getting a lot of those over here it could be such a challenge to.
Oh, in the back of the days, like, yeah.
Well, and the cost is insane to localize this much.
Yeah, and that's why I think that they're done so much better now, because like Square Enix North America, like there's a whole team dedicated just to localizing the games, including changing lip movements to make them like the more realistic ones. They make the lip movements match better, and they have more time. Like there's actually like casting directors, and they've got full-on directors to help guide not only like the speech and like what's said, but like how is it said. This person speaks with this sort of a dialect, this person says has this sort of accent, that they would say this instead of this. So now there's just whole like teams that can work on that kind of stuff. And so it is kind of unfortunate that the old the original Final Fantasy VII port was kind of mushy. But I mean, I played it on Switch earlier this year, and it was my first time playing it in like 10 years. And I think that the Switch version, or at least the remastered version, I think that they went through it more with a finer tooth comb.
Yeah, the sad truth is they didn't change enough to really make it stand out. But I can understand why they wouldn't, because then you're gonna be like, "What's this? This isn't what I. This isn't this game."
Yeah, I think mostly they fixed the typos.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
I felt like it flowed a little bit better, but I don't, it definitely was still pretty, I guess, dated in a way, but still very charming.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like not to hate on Final Fantasy 15 again, but
hater cast.
Huh?
Hater cast.
Because
I'll jump in.
Something I really like is like you have a character like Barrett and Sid, who, I mean, Barrett especially, I feel he's almost like, especially back in the day, it was the Mr. T stereotype.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like he's a very stereotypical, muscular, big, buff black dude, but he's so caring, and he talks about like he loves Marlene so much, and he talks about saving the planet, and he's got all of these really great ideals, and it just feels like toxic masculinity is subverted in a lot of ways, which is what they tried to do with Gladio in 15, but instead he seems like a caricature of toxic masculinity who reads a book.
Yes.
And so I feel like, especially with the 7 remake, we get to see a lot more of that, and it's going to draw in new gamers, even though I feel like the 7 remake should be 7 sequel, and people shouldn't play it without having played it. Oh, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice little mix of the two, which is nice.
Yeah, But I feel like there's going to be a lot. Oh, I have to find this one thing. I'm going to see. Well, I'm going to see if I can find this thing because that made me laugh. But, like, I don't know. I feel like you just get a lot of like representation in different ways. You know, like you get minorities, you get, you know, masculine characters not afraid to be soft. You get feminine characters not afraid to be strong, and they're all strong in different ways. Like Tifa's strength is different than Eris's strength is different than Jesse's, and you know, like everybody's. And so I feel like that's also something that can be very like looked up to, I guess, in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, and to make things even better, like when you mentioned Tifa, it's like she's not like her design is clearly meant to be like the sexual draw, the sexual attraction for the player character, but she's totally not that kind of an individual and personality in the original game or the remake. She is very much the, you know, the kind, caring soul that you wouldn't expect from someone who will literally, you know, sucker punch you in the dick for gameplay purposes.
Right.
So it's like,
and she would.
Exactly. But it's like, it's a matter of like, you can have, like you say, you know, it's subverting stereotypes. Like, oh, just because she's pretty and has big boobs doesn't mean she's not going to be a kind soul, nicest person you'll ever meet, but also an amazing martial artist. It's like
Aerith is so like she's got her own kind of strength, but it's more like knowing, like learning.
It's like independence.
Yeah, but like, and like, yeah, learning her upbringing and like her mother's death, escaping the Shinra facility, like, you know, being adopted, knowing that the Turks were coming after her at all time, and she's still just caring and sweet, but like sassy as hell. Like, I just, you know, and then she's a healer, but yeah, very independent. Like maybe she's not physically strong the way that Tifa is, but she's very like independent and takes care of herself, and she's like, I'll do what I gotta do. Like, and I feel like that's just a different sort of, you know, strength. But then you also have characters like Cloud who, you know, like he does have kind of that tough exterior, but he is a little sass bucket sometimes, and also he's trying to figure out who he is as a person.
Right.
And then I don't know, I feel like there's just such good diversity in there, not like 15 or everyone.
Yeah. No, there's more diversity in this game than there is in actually a lot of Final Fantasy games when you stop and think about it. I mean, even with 8, it's like, where is the diversity? It's like they're all white.
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
7 was so diverse, you even had a dog cat thing as a playable character, and then you had a stuffed toy. It's like no, anything, literally anything can be
a genetic experiment, and then a robot cat toy thing. But speaking of robot cat toy, I found that thing that made me laugh.
Oh God.
So this says, me, Kate Sith's inclusion in watching the Sector 7 plate falling and his subsequent reaction to it provides much needed context to one of the weirdest characters in the whole of Final Fantasy VII. This is about the remake, by the way.
Right.
As a reflection of Reeve, who is powerless in the face of Shinra's most horrible transgression against not only the people of Midgar, but to Reeve himself as the director of urban planning, it makes the scene poignant and sets him and Kate Sith up to having a more personal drive in the narrative in later installments. Also me, the idea of the average gamer going into Final Fantasy VII blind with no context to who Kate Sith is and having to watch this Disney-ass looking cartoon plush toy punch the ground angstily with his tiny Mickey Mouse gloved fist as the whole of Sector 7 burns behind him, the swelling crescendo of a gorgeous OST at the most pivotal point in the entire game, and wondering what the fuck was that about is peak comedy.
What? We're all dead.
Good. I was like, this. It's so on point. Like,
that's upsettingly on point.
Like, you know, when I saw that, knowing that Reeve is behind the character and who Kate Sith is, he doesn't just show up out of the blue. You know, at the Gold Saucer or whenever he shows up. Like, you know, it's this incredible moment, and then seeing him, like seeing little Kate Sith, and you know Reeve is watching, like, oh my god, this is happening. But then, like, trying to imagine it from an outsider's perspective who's never played the original Final Fantasy VII, being like, what? And it's like this incredible song playing.
Why, Toy? Why?
It's so dramatic, but then you're like, yeah, any newcomer's like, what?
What? What is this about?
Such a lovely visual, and all I want is to be in the room with somebody who's never played the game when they play that game.
I should ask my friend who had only ever seen his friend play parts of it, and then he's seen Advent Children. So he has like no context for it, and then I made him play Remake. Should have asked him about that.
My sister's boyfriend kind of wanted to play it, and so my sister had asked me at one point, like, do you think this is something Kent would enjoy? And like, Kent is not as much into RPGs. Like, he's definitely not against them, but like, I don't know, sometimes when they get their head too far up their own asses, he's like, all right. And so I was telling my sister, like, this one is kind of more of a sequel than it is a remake. And there are some things that I don't think would make sense. And so I'm like, I kind of want him to just, like, even if he just power runs the Switch version or something, like, just play through the original on 3 times speed and go through it that way with a walkthrough or whatever.
Yeah.
But then also part of me wants to just give the game to him and be like, oh, no, but when you get to this part, I need to be in the room just to see what happens.
Yeah, no, do that one.
I know, right? Just because I need to know. I just need to know.
For sure. So for my second choice, this was a little bit of a rough one for me. Had to think about it, but ultimately it comes down to this game literally was like my whole purpose for purchasing a console, and it was the first time I had done that. So it's Resident Evil 4.
Was it the GameCube or the PS2?
Oh, GameCube.
I didn't.
Nice.
I played it on the PS2 first.
I'm sorry.
I am not, because I loved it anyway. But I was not like, I just loved it because it was like Resident Evil and Leon, and I loved it and everything. But I didn't really care about the differences between the two, and I got the Ada missions, which were fine.
Yeah, my big issue with the PS2 version is the very, very obvious like reduction in facial quality on the enemies. Like, it was very, very blatant. And
Yeah,
the slowdown. I had never encountered slowdown in a console game before. Ever. And it is heinous when you trigger it.
I didn't have the comparison, so I just went into it and loved it. The only thing I didn't love is that the first time I played through it, my memory card corrupted. And
no.
I ended up replaying the village segment, like the beginning and then the village segment, probably 4 times, because it kept going like, save data corrupted. And then I went and looked at my memory card, and it had corrupted all the surrounding data on it as well, which lost me Dance Dance Revolution, Haunting Ground.
Oh.
I know, and it lost me. I actually need to double check this one, because I don't remember if it actually cost me the 100 hours I put into Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh,
Or if I think I actually got Kingdom Hearts 2 after that, because I got Resident Evil 4 on PS2 in December of 2005. And I remember because my sister got it for me for my birthday after I graduated high school. And I had moved up here, and yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I knew I was keeping that for a reason.
And then Kingdom Hearts 2 didn't come out until March the following year. And so I don't think it actually corrupted my Kingdom Hearts 2 save. I think I had a new one, but it did corrupt my Dance Dance Revolution, my Haunting Ground, and a couple of my dad's Resident Evil saves.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, so that was fun. But other than that, like, I just didn't notice. I mean, I didn't have anything like a comparison. So to me, Resident Evil 4 was just amazing.
Yeah.
See, I had a different experience with Resident Evil 4 the first time.
Oh.
We all had experience.
Mine's was because a friend of mine, I got this for the GameCube, and the way it was like, oh, I'd like to try it. He's like, yeah, sure, you can try it after. I'll just play for a bit, and then you can try it. Okay, I can play for a bit, and you can try it. Okay, so after about the 4th chapter,
Oh,
And
so
then
at the end of the game.
Or like second
There's-
or third chapter, and then by then I left. I had to go home, and then once I got back, because we were supposed to play it together, he kind of powered through part of it. I'm like, at this point, I'm missing like part of the story, and I stopped caring as much now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I remember my dad never finished Resident Evil 4 because he just doesn't. He's not good at QTEs. Like he just doesn't have the mobility in his thumbs or his hands to do QTE. So the very first time a rock came at Leon and he couldn't get past it, he's like, "It's not very good anyway."
Oh, so he got butthurt about it.
Yeah, he got straight butthurt about it, and
just get a turbo controller, dude.
I know, but he wouldn't, and he just decided he didn't like it. And when I tried talking to him about it another time, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't really like it." And I was like, "You would if you would just like watch me play it, because it's actually really good."
Yeah, and that's such a small part of the game too, because you really don't have to do any mashing, like that's detrimental like that, except for the early parts, like in the village.
Like, you don't even have to. I mean, I guess when you're fighting El Gigante, like, you have to knife the thing on his back. But even then, like, just give it some time. Like,
No,
eventually
you can shoot it.
Oh, hey. Well, there you go.
Did you know if you rocket it, it dies?
Really? That's why you play through the infinite rocket launcher.
So, no, actually, I've done a number of playthroughs where I literally will, when I know I'm going to a boss, I will buy a rocket launcher, because you can only carry one at a time, basically, from the merchant, and then I will wait until I get the weak spot or the kill point open, and then hit it once, and then it's done. My favorite thing to do is against Salazar. When you're up in the castle.
Oh, and he's like in...
Yep.
Not in the wall, but he's like huge and like wall sized, and he's got the things that open, the little pod things that open or whatever.
I will buy a rocket launcher. I will go in there and I will shoot the hell out of the eye to open up his weak point, and then I'll shoot him with the rocket, and it's immediately done.
Nice.
Every time. So it's like I do it with no specials. No special weapons. I just go through it like a boss.
I really got to actually play and play that game again, because I've only gotten like part way through the game. Sadly, I think I lost the jacket. That's about it.
Yeah, when the game first came out, I literally was scrounging to save money to get a GameCube explicitly to play this game. That was the only reason I was gonna buy a GameCube. And I go to the store, which I now work at, oddly enough, bought the Platinum GameCube that was bundled with Mario Kart Double Dash for $100, and inside came a $15 off any GameCube game manufacturer's coupon, which the very next week I went in with and purchased Resident Evil 4 on launch day.
Nice.
So I paid $45. $45. $35. Excuse me, because it was $49.99.
But didn't you also have to get the GameCube itself?
Well, yeah, I paid $100 for that the previous week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did that, and I just remember immediately getting home, starting it, and I could not stop. Could not stop. Had to keep going. Had to keep playing.
So good. My sister had never played a Resident Evil game before, but she loves scary games, and so I remember when she and I were playing it, or when I was playing it and my memory card corrupted, she went with me to get a new memory card, and then she's like, "Do you think I'd like it?" And I was like, "I don't know what kind of..." Like, she and I weren't super close before I moved up here. And so I didn't really know, but she was like, "I want to play." And so we ended up playing Resident Evil 4 together, and now she like loves playing the Resident Evil games, but she really likes the co-op ones because she likes playing with Ken.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, they do the couch co-op stuff all the time, and they have the most hilarious stories about them playing co-op together. But yeah, like she and I played 4 together, and we would just go like toss it back and forth until the regenerators showed up. Oh my gosh, my sister was a baller, because we had run out of ammo for the thermal scope, or for the sniper rifle that had the thermal scope on it. We ran out of ammo for it. So my sister, even though she and I were both freaking out, like, what are we supposed to do? She backs up as far as she can, looks through the scope, memorizes where the plagas are, and then just shoots them with the handgun out. And got us out of that situation with the handgun while freaking out. She like took enough of a deep breath to be like, I'm gonna do this. And then she did it. And I was like, you're my hero right now.
That is genuinely impressive, because I wasn't even sure, like, well, no, they would have to still be there even with that. I guess you just have to have something that has penetration to hit them.
And I don't remember if it was the handgun. It might have been like the submachine gun or something like that. But she got out a different gun. And she looked through the thermal scope just enough to see where those things were, backed into a corner, and shot them in those areas. And we were like, okay,
yeah,
that's how you do it.
If you can make that work. I mean, I've done brute force damage to them, which is doable, but oh my god, it's
She gets really bummed out that the remakes, like, that they aren't co-op, because she would love to play like Leon and Claire together. And of course, like, as an old school fan, of course we know that that's not feasible, because, you know, Leon meets Ada and Claire meets Sherry, and, you know, like, as cool as it would be to have a Claire and Leon co-op, like, or a Chris or a Jill and Carlos, or a Chris and Jill, or whatever co-op, like, as cool as that would be, like, it didn't really happen.
I mean,
story-wise, it would work out that well.
I played Dark Side Chronicles. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, I
really love Dark Side Chronicles.
I just wish the camera wouldn't shake as much. If it wasn't for that, the game would be basically perfect for a light gun game.
My cousin and I played the shit out of Umbrella Chronicles.
Oh, hell yeah.
We co-opted the shit out of that game. Like, we rented it so much, we may as well have just bought it.
Yeah, that was definitely a buy for myself and Chicho.
So good. But yeah, like, so she doesn't pay as much attention to the new, like, the remakes. Because
but the new one she watches for.
Yeah. Can I make a confession before we move on?
Yes, because it is about time for our next topic, but do make your confession so we can criticize and ridicule you.
I think Resident Evil 8 looks kind of dumb.
I
mean, like, it looks beautiful, but, like, I don't understand, why Chris is suddenly a horrible human being. And if the rumor is true and Capcom killed Claire to turn Chris evil, I will straight up riot. Because that's bullshit. We don't need to kill Claire for man pain. Like,
yeah.
Please no. And then also, I just don't understand, if they wanted to make a werewolf horror game, why it had to be under the Resident Evil title. That's my thing. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna get the collector's edition. Like, I know me and my sluttiness for Resident Evil. I'm gonna do it, but I will riot if some of these things turn out to be true.
So
that's it. I'm out of here.
I will be pissed if they kill Claire. I'm just saying.
The one thing I think is not true is that Claire is dead. If anything, I bet she is one of the female characters they show that have hoods up, and that she's infected, but not dead.
They better
and that would be exactly. That's my thought too. Is like it sounds like what it is it's a means for them to, oh yeah, no, we have your sister under our control. Do what we say, or we'll just end her.
Oh, I like that way better.
Yeah, and
I like that way better, because Chris would do literally anything to get Claire back. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I've been saying it since Code Veronica. I mean, okay, I've been saying it since like 4. We need a Redfield reunion. Where's the Redfield reunion? I want Claire and Chris to be together, like, as siblings beyond, like, in 6, when Chris is like, Claire's brother, and they're like, oh, Chris, or whatever. Like, I
hope there's more to it than this.
There isn't. In 6, Leon and Chris meet up. They don't recognize each other, and then they're like, and then Sherry's like, no,
give him a break.
Yeah, Sherry's like, no, don't. It's Leon and Chris, and they're like, oh yeah, Claire. But Claire's the link that we have. Anyway, how's it going? And that's like it. And then she's never mentioned. And then, like, I think Claire mentions Chris once in Revelations 2 or something. And I'm like, can we just have a reunion? I would be totally down for Claire being infected, but reversibly so, and Chris fighting too. I'm like a little sad that Mia's dead.
That's
but,
yet to be confirmed.
I mean, he shot her in the face.
Not confirmed to be her. So
I guess that's true. But I really like Mia. I know that she's not like the best, but
I liked her too. So I am on board with all of that. And also, why would Chris have said sorry to Ethan before doing whatever it is he does? If
he's killing his wife.
Well, my point though is, if he truly was just straight up evil, he wouldn't have said anything. He just would have stared him in the eye as he did it.
That's true. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, you've made me more excited for 8 in the last 2 minutes than Capcom has done in 2 trailers.
And my argument to the quote Wolfman thing is, come on, we've had an Alligator Man, we've had Frog Man.
Yeah. I'll be honest, the wolf just seems kind of passé at this point.
Well, those are like boss fights, though. I mean, I guess, okay, the lizard men, you're right. Those were, I think, in...
Are we talking about the hunters or the lizard, or is it something
The hunters
different?
and the hunter gammas.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And then
I hear you.
In the comic series, they straight up do a werewolf in one of the original magazine comics that they did from Image Comics.
I hear you. I still just feel like if they wanted to make a werewolf horror game, they should have just made a werewolf horror game and given us their dumbass beasties that they give us in every Resident Evil.
It also looks more to me like it's a halfway point between human and Elegante.
See, I'll take that.
Because you also got to remember that we did, in fact, have a alternative to Elegante in Resident Evil 5 in Endesu.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, if you look at Endesu's face, it looks just like a bigger, stretched version of, quote, Wolfman face. Plus, I mean, if the dude's hairier and it's an in-between, it's in Romanian area. I mean, werewolves and vampires, that whole lore kind of originated from there, so it would make sense that people would misconstrue a Wolfman when it's just a dude who's wigging out real frickin' bad in some half-transformation state.
Okay. Again, you have made me more interested than the trailers have.
I know, right?
Again, we also know me and we know that I'm going to play it. I'm going to get all the cool shit with it. Like, I'm going to do all the things. We all know me. I got the house from 7. I got...
Go tell Aunt Rody.
I know, I love that song. I actually have
rendition is really, really good.
So good. I actually have a creepy mix in my car, and that's one of the first songs on there.
Don't play it on the drive home.
No. But, like, I got the collector's editions of as many of the Resident Evils as I have been able to do so, including 6.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to do it for 8. I know I'm going to do it for 8. But I wasn't excited by the trailers. Like, yes, it looks beautiful. It looks like Resident Evil 4, but super high res. It looks beautiful. I'm excited to have Chris back. Like, Chris has always been one of my favorite Resident Evil characters. I love me some Redfields. But, like, there was just something about it that I wasn't really excited for. But now, I mean, and a lot of it was like, I don't know, like, just go make the Order 1886, but better. If you want to do a...
Yes, please. I would like that.
If you want to do a horror werewolf.
I want my Victorian era steampunk Doom game.
Yeah, just write the fan fiction of it and make it better than the game was. I haven't played the game, but I know it's bad.
Well, hold on. Let me get my pen ready.
So with this, like, is it just me or does anybody else would just love it to have, like, Chris, Leon, and a couple of the other characters from Resident Evil, and all of a sudden a mummy pops out, and then they're just super jaded at this point. They're like,
No.
Why?
So, okay, while we're on the Resident... We should probably just have a Resident Evil cast at some point, because we could talk forever. One of my ideal games would have a 3-team pair-up, like in 6, where you've got the 3 different campaigns, but we would have... and I think this would piss a lot of people off. The characters that we would have would be Claire, Jill, Sheva, Rebecca, Sherry, and then, like, Chris or Leon or Billy. Like, bring Billy back.
Dude, Okay, so Chicho and I actually had a thing going for a while where we were actually on Facebook and we each like did a post about it. I think we even went to Twitter at one point about it and we're like, and it was hashtag bring Billy back.
I love Billy. I actually saw, and okay.
He's the smartest motherfucker in the whole series because he's in one game and then he pieces right the hell out.
Thank you. I literally I watched a video on YouTube that someone did called like, Where is Billy Now? And this guy was like, okay, here's my theories on what I think could have happened to Billy after the aftermath of Zero. Because he heads off, and presumably he heads into Raccoon City, because that's possible, puts on a disguise, whatever, goes into Raccoon City to supply up, maybe get a car, whatever, and then just head off, like do whatever he's gonna do in Midwest or Mideast. I don't know. Anyway, somewhere in the US. Excuse me.
Midwestern town of Raccoon City.
Yeah, so this guy was like, but the virus reaches Raccoon City a couple weeks later and all this stuff. But in almost every scenario, this guy presented, Billy dies. And I was like, you do remember that he's ex-Marine, right? Like, he's not just some schmo. He
knows what's going to happen. He already is familiar with the threat.
Yes, he has gone through boss fights. He's gone through basic enemies. He knows what's coming. He knows about the outbreak in the Spencer Mansion. Yes, he gets on out of there right away. But, if he comes across them again, he knows how to deal with it. Also, he's ex-military. It's literally not like, I guess most people that you play as in Resident Evil outside of Ethan are trained in some way. Like, we know Claire was trained by Chris because he was Air Force and he trained her. So, like, But I mean, Billy's not some Joe Schmo that was like, I better get a gun because there's zombies. He has military training.
Plus, anybody
he's gonna live.
Once you get to the point of fighting any of the bosses, like, training or no, once you get to the point of being able to beat one of the Resident Evil bosses, they're no joke.
Yeah, no. It doesn't matter if they're from Zero and just giant versions of regular creatures. They're still terrifying, huge, and deadly.
Yeah. Sorry, the second you come face to face with a hunter or a licker, like, you're set for life. Like, your panties have been skid marked, you're set. Like, you are. Yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy me some new sets of Hanes, and now I know what to expect. But then, yeah, he's got boss fights. He's got the training to deal with it all. He knows different weapons. He knows different ammunition. And being in prison, like, pretty sure he knows how to make himself a shiv.
It's kind
of be resourceful.
Yeah, there's no way that he just rolled over and died. It just didn't happen.
I just sort of quit after this. Okay, you fought.
Sorry, go ahead.
But that's the thing. Like, let's say you don't have the military training, okay, or you're like, am I bottom of the barrel military, or even just basics, right? The point being is, you still managed to get out. You've already done better than everyone else.
Yeah, you are in the top 1 percentile, sir. You're fine.
You're good.
Like, he's gonna be good. But then, and this guy, like, in his theory was like, oh, he gets overrun by zombies in Raccoon City because there's more of them there. And I'm like, Claire has literally been through less than this. She has less training than basically everybody else. And I'm sorry, if Claire and Rebecca can make it, like, Rebecca's not even supposed to have a gun. She's a medic. She has a gun as an emergency. Like,
yeah, it's a self-defense item, and that's it.
Yeah, if those two can survive the Raccoon City and a zombie outbreak in the Spencer Mansion, I think Billy's fine. I don't think he's going to get overrun with zombies.
He's fine.
He's fine.
It's okay. I'm fine.
I'm fine. Maybe he got rid of the mullet at some point, but he's fine.
No, he didn't have a mullet. He just magically had enough gel to slick it back all the time and then say, "You're with stars, aren't you?"
Yeah, he's fine.
I actually prefer the fan theory that I've heard, which I doubt's accurate, but the more interesting fan theory out of any of them that's absurd to me is that Billy became Nemesis.
I want to say that might have also been one of the guy's theories, but I just remember rolling on the floor, like, laughing at the fact that he thinks Billy could be overrun by zombies, and was like, no, I'm not listening to anything else you have to say.
I am checked out on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, we have another subject.
Sorry.
we do. No, it's good. It's good. We're
do
excited for upcoming stuff, so that's kind of an unfortunate segue.
We will, if you want us to go down the rabbit hole that is Resident Evil, we can go down there. Trust me.
Check back another day.
Check back another day. We will put that on hold. If you think Liz going to town on Alan Wake is a thing,
Oh,
whoa.
yeah.
Resident Evil, that is up all of our alleys on this one.
I've got at least 10 more years of Resident Evil than I do on Alan Wake.
Oh, man, you tell me about it. Oh, I've got a good 20.
Yeah, literally 1998. No, I mean, I've got 10 additional years. I got 10 years of Alan Wake. I've got 20 on Resident Evil.
Gotcha.
Like, literally, 1998, I was playing that with my dad.
Yeah. Well, to prevent us from continuing on that never-ending slope of awesome, let's move on to the next thing, which is add-ons to enhance the gaming experience. But also,
write that down. Stay away from these two subjects for others, because we'll go on.
On that note, though, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to ask: is this like to enhance the gaming experience? Is this like having the bongos for Donkey Kong, that one Donkey Kong game where you play the bongos? Because you can also play it with, or like DDR, you can play DDR using a controller.
Which, why would you?
Why would you when you have the dance pad? But the dance pad would essentially be a gameplay enhancement. Is that what we're talking about?
Kind of. So, I thought
that's mine. If that counts, that's mine because I don't I don't know.
So it depends on how you see it. So, like, for example, and I will take the same game for two different peripherals that you can add on. One of the things that out there, and so I guess I'll go first, is like for Rock Band. When I purchased Rock Band, I didn't just purchase Rock Band. I went hardcore with it. I got Rock Band. I also happened to, at the same time, just because it happened to be at my mom's house when I was still living there. She had an entire stereo system that she never hooked up anywhere. So not only did I hook up Rock Band, I put up massive surround sound for the whole thing and rewired the stereo, so it was blasting out of like six different speakers. That changed Rock Band entirely.
You just went to town.
I went to town. I played it. It was funny because a friend of mine was like, "We should play Rock Band tonight." I'm like, "Okay, I'll bring it over." And I'm already bringing like 16 different items at this point. And then we hooked it up to his TV. I'm like, "Yeah, this is a TV." I'm like, not the same without the subwoofers and such.
It's
no bigger though.
It's when I went to go see Mad Max Fury Road, and I saw it in the Village, which is the Village, Brandon, is a little shopping area, a little bit, it's probably about like 15 minutes away from where Leo and I live. And it's cool. It's got a whole bunch of different stores. You can just make but it feels like you're stepping into a different world. Like, it feels like you're just going into like Italy or something. It's really neat and enclosed, and there's like an ice skating rink in the winter, and then they'll trade it out for like barbecues in the summer. And there's a theater there, and the theater is really cool, and it's really nice. And I went to go see Fury Road there, and the sound is everywhere. They've got speakers all around the theater, and it's incredible. And so I felt like I was inside Fury Road.
Nice.
And then when I went to go see it like a couple days later with my sister and her boyfriend, we went to go see it at Edwards, which is before they enhanced the Edwards and made it super cool because they wanted to be like the Village. And it just felt like the speakers were up front, and it felt like somebody had put it on like mono. it wasn't. I was like, "Oh, this doesn't feel as cool." I feel kind of let down.
This is a different movie.
Yeah, I feel like almost let down, but it's the theater's fault. Now Edwards is super cool, and they have like way fewer seats, but every seat is now a recliner with its own tray table, so you can just like chill out and relax, and it's really nice. It's way nicer now.
But yeah, that's certain things like that. Or if you want to get a crazy peripheral, also for Rock Band, they had this. The Rock Band official
strobe light?
Close. Smoke machine.
Get out. I actually have one of those fog machines. Not the Rock Band one. I have one in half a container of the artificial fog mix in my closet. Halloween has interesting things available.
So Rock Band was one of the ones I went out and I like set up an entire mass stereo system, so that way the music and the sound would sound perfectly. My favorite song to play on that, and it only came up in I think Rock Band 3 just once randomly. I didn't think of it. It's by the Cars called "Living in Stereo." And the thing is that if you actually have a mass stereo sound with it, there's a section in that song where it's going to one speaker, then to the next speaker, and then to a completely different surround sound speaker. When he's just repeating the word "living in stereo," and it just starts bouncing around like this. But you don't get that effect unless you have a sound setup like that.
That's crazy.
And it's super crazy, and it threw me off the first time I heard it. I'm like, what is going on here? Because even when I'm normally hearing it, I'm not hearing it just coming from different areas like that. But it's a sound effect, and it's also projecting your voice through the Rock Band, and so it's just doing this magical thing with it. Or with Rock Band Beatles, if you ever play the song "I Am the Walrus," and you have that sound set up, you hear something like 30, 40 different instruments from the background because there were so many that was used in that song.
Oh my god.
It's just nuts. But yeah, so Rock Band is the first game I said I went to town with it. I was not kidding with that. And that's what I'm talking about. Like weird, like extension peripherals that you can have like that. Like Rock Band has the official sound set, or weird things that you just spent a lot of money or cash, or just did some work to set up, like put together a huge stereo system. So ones that won't count are things like if you went out and bought a high definition TV for what is it, like, trying to think of its name now. Dead Rising, because you had to have it in order for it to play properly, or else you wouldn't read the words.
I don't think I really have anything like that.
Now, so it sounds to me though that we can include like accessories.
Yeah, you can include the accessories for it, like if you have a DDR pad, or if you have like a straight up wooden DDR pad where you just bolt it down to something solid so it wouldn't move around very much, is one thing. I'm surprised that as far as peripherals, if anybody had used
Donkey Kong bongos.
Like that's the one I got. Donkey Kong bongos.
Donkey Kong bongos and the DDR dance pad.
You know, with as much cool stuff as I know for a fact you get, I'm surprised that you don't have as many of them.
Like collector's editions things. Like I don't get anything to enhance the gameplay unless like my VR counts. But like
I would say it does. Personally,
like when I play the Tetris Effect, maybe I'm gonna play it in 3D or in VR and not standard.
Oh, don't you worry. I have both of those.
So for
I want that controller.
That controller is okay. So let me tell you how that controller works.
Well,
it looks so uncomfortable to use.
It is the most uncomfortable gameplay experience I have ever had.
Like driving the chainsaw to
the start button. Okay, so first off, I can't even use this one as my example because it's not good enough. I have to go and use this one because this is the PS2's, and it is even more over the top. Here's how.
God!
The ripcord is the start button, and you actually have to pull it to pause.
That's so extra.
No. That's not even all of it. It has a tilted function built in. It has a tumbler for I believe it's R1. And the way it works is when you put the controller down, as it's shown here, where the chainsaw is low, it puts the tumbler onto it and makes Leon draw his gun. So if you want to walk around, you have to walk around by holding the controller upright as if you are the chainsaw man running at you about to swing it. So you have to have the chainsaw blade aimed straight up in order to not be aiming your gun.
That's terrible.
It is fucking
Who
atrocious.
play tested that and said, yes.
Nobody, because I didn't think it got much worse than the GameCube rendition, but it did, and it's right here. So since we went ahead and decided to go into this, I will share a couple of other little things that I've gone out of my way to acquire for enhancing my experience.
Yeah.
I was going to have Liz go first, but since someone went ahead and posted a picture of one of the 2 controllers I own, because I do own both of them.
Want them?
Yeah, they're...
You want them to collect them. You're going to play with them? Because that's the only way you're getting them.
Oh, I'm going to be...
They would be going on my shelf.
My friend has an idea for a thing that involves using very bizarro controllers. We're going to get into that at some point, don't you worry.
Ooh.
I bought this, and
4D candle. Oh my god.
It smells like blood and cedar.
That's incredible. So you light it while you're playing, and it seems like...
I refuse to light it because I'm afraid that it would just smell like death if I did.
I'm gonna buy 2 of them. I'm gonna go find these, and I'm gonna buy 2 of them just so I can...
Numbskull Designs. They smell very much like cedar. Just when you open it, you immediately get it. But that's not
cedar's
all.
Such a good smell.
It is. It actually is. It smells like wood and iron. But then they also did this one for Resident Evil 2.
What? That's it. Who does it? Who did it?
Numbskull Designs. I can actually link you to...
I'm gonna look at the rest of their stuff too.
Yeah, they have some pretty cool stuff on their sites. They also, through Merchoid.
I love Merchoid.
Yeah, did you get the emblems?
No, I didn't have cash monies.
Well, guess what?
What?
According to Merchoid's website, it's still in stock for a number of the emblems.
Ooh.
Which I did buy literally all 3 of the emblems.
I need cash monies, though.
I couldn't not buy these because of reasons that you can probably guess.
Oh, the Resident Evil 2 candle is out of stock.
Yeah, I'm afraid to open that one because I'm afraid it's just going to smell like a corpse.
That fresh corpse smell.
Exactly.
Oh, they're discontinued. That's why.
Yeah, but
aww.
Yeah, the 4D candle for Resident Evil 7 was released alongside the game. I can only assume it was as a joke, but obviously I bought it because it was a VR compatible game. So the idea was that this is to give you that true feeling of being there because you're just in a rickety old house.
That makes sense.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. I'm never gonna light it because I'll never get the smell out of wherever I light it. But I'm gonna buy it. So it sits on the shelf next to the music box. But for the viewers at home, I do have all...
I just want to put that up because that's sort of an example of what it is, of my speaker system was set up. This plus, like, one more... because they were all, like, speakers from, like, the 80s that my mom just sort of kept, but I could still wire them all together into one sound system.
Right.
That's awesome. So, like, yeah, that was talking about... Like,
I want it. It's only $19.
Oh, man. I've got the pre-order bonus from the Capcom store for the Operation Raccoon City. It's a metal sign, like an actual metal sign that says "Welcome to Raccoon City, home of Umbrella," and it's like bloodstained and has bullet holes and stuff through it.
I want it. I'm going to show you something my friend made me.
We're all going to become very jealous of it, I'm sure. And by all, I mean
maybe.
Me.
My friend does glass work.
Okay.
And surprised me with this. and it was very cool. I had no idea it was coming. I'm going to put it, I guess, in podcast updates because I'm here. And
oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's hanging in my window right now, and it looks really cool when the sun comes in. But yeah, totally surprised me. But just found the Raccoon City or the Umbrella logo and soldered, like, cut the glass, like, does everything, cuts the glass, solders it all together, finishes the edges, the whole shebang, and then shipped that to me with the chain on it and everything, so I could hang it.
That is
Nice.
nuts. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, here's all 3 of those emblems. As I said, I had to have them.
I want them.
Nice.
I found that sign, the Welcome to Raccoon City on eBay, $170.
Yeah, and I got that for nothing because I ordered through the Capcom store when the game came out. It actually is currently the welcome sign to our game room. It's like right above the door, dead center.
I'm gonna make a Resident Evil. I'm gonna make my game room Resident Evil themed.
Well,
Currently, it's not themed anything. It's just kind of like a lot of things.
Make sure to get all those candles. Make it smell real good.
I can't! They're discontinued.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's scalping them on eBay.
I looked. They didn't have them.
Oh, wow. Well, never mind then. Color me surprised.
I can get you a nice cedar candle if that makes you feel
Oh, no,
better.
I do see one. Oh, official Resident Evil 2 zombie candle. $7.62 plus $11.44 shipping.
Well, Jesus, where's it coming from?
United Kingdom.
Okay, that'd be why. International is disgustingly. Oh, what? Oh, never mind. I thought that was an old. I thought I saw an old promo for a candle for Resident Evil Director's Cut, but no, that's an eyeball in a jar.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm gonna send that to the thing just so you can see why it caught me off guard. I thought it was a candle.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
enjoy your eyeball in a jar.
Right.
So glad we have
liked
it.
that one right away.
Oh yeah, delicious.
Smells like eyeball in a jar.
But yeah, so my my enhancing experiences are things like that.
So I do love sort of the like the differences between it. Like most of your stuff, complete Resident Evil to a point that you now have a risk of making your room smell like a corpse.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And mine's is like an entire rock band, like the entire music setup that is just far more than someone who's not super musically inclined that would have.
I got nothing.
Cheese and rice.
Yep.
Wow. I will say, if this item
I'll spend the $20 for the Rari 2 one, but I am not spending $150.
No. I'll tell you what, next time we do end up getting together, whenever that is, I will bring that candle so you can smell it. Because it's sealed still. Well, not sealed, but the lid's on it.
I could just wait, the zombie one or the RE4 one?
The $150 one.
RE7.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord! Why do we have this?
Yeah. It's like, maybe I should sell mine. No. No.
How about you sell yours? Why? It's the smell. It's the smell. It's just awful.
I've already burned through it and I refilled it.
Why?
There's real blood in there now.
Real blood and cedar.
I can't make it to the next recording. I've got a lot less blood than I used to.
Yeah, it's about
I'm
a kill
going
shy.
into a coma real quick.
I gotta take a nap real bad.
Now, if this item I'm about to send was a USB drive, I'd have bought it. But it's a bottle opener.
Aw.
Whatever. It would have been cool as a.
It would have been a prop.
USB drive, but
Yep.
me and Leo drink enough bottled soda that would still get used here.
Oh yeah,
that's fair because bottled soda is best soda.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So yeah, those are my enhanced experience things. Would be my VR headset, my 4D candles.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with VR for me too.
And I have a whole music setup. Like, I think at the top of that was like 7 to 8 speakers, a subwoofer,
So
another bass
crazy.
thing, and mic stands, but not like your like the standing mic stands, like leaning mic stands. So that way, if you wanted to sing and you were the drummer or keyboardist, you don't have to worry about that much. I could bend it over to that.
You basically were performing an actual concert in the room with all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's crazy.
But if you had Rock Band 3, this meant that at any given point in time, you had a local 7-player co-op
Oh, snap, yeah, huh?
at the karaoke machine.
Jeez. With all that equipment, you should have just opened a karaoke bar.
Don't you judge
True.
me.
I'm not
But true.
judging,
No
I'm
one's judging
suggesting.
you. That was a
That's
suggestion, not a judgment.
That is a business opportunity I am offering you, sir.
You can rent out this room, but only one room because I only have one Xbox.
And the karaoke is whatever's in here.
You get this. Can I play Come Sail Away? Is it on the list? It's not on the list. You're out.
You buy the DLC.
You get the DLC. Is it on there? Nope.
What about Frozen? I wanna sing. Do you want to build a snowman? It's like, put in the DVD and turn on the subtitles. You're fine.
You're fine. But I want to play the instruments. Yeah, fine. That's all you're getting on this one. Man, I'm bitter at this fake karaoke place.
Yeah, and all it wanted to do was make you money.
Mm-hmm. I probably should have tried to get the Frozen soundtrack. Got to talk to the people at Rock Band on it.
No, you got to get a hold of Michael Jackson.
Actually.
So just your VR? Is that it for you, Liz?
I have a DDR dance pad.
Oh, okay. Now the question is, which DDR?
I believe it's DDR Max 2, but let me go check my shelf really quick.
I'd be really impressed if it was Mario Mix.
No, DDR Revolution. DDR Max Revolution.
Okay, so it's the Wii entry?
No, PS2.
That's PS2, yeah.
Oh, I have our local game store has a shit ton of the DDR games for like $2.
They're like, Liz, please take them from me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, okay.
They know us pretty well down there, so every time I go, like when I go in there, they're just like, "Oh, we got this new Resident Evil title in," or "How about have you seen our stack of survival horror games?" And I'm like, "Guys."
I remember when I got
me.
No, if there's one that I spent ridiculous amount of money, like the original, like Smash Brothers, I think because of how people were playing it, I think I spent something like almost $500 to $600 worth in controllers.
Okay, I believe that.
Ridiculous.
It's Smash. That's allowed.
It's allowed. Like any other game, it just sounds like, okay, you're playing too rough. You're doing it wrong. Smash Brothers is like, okay, yeah.
Oh, you haven't broken a controller yet? You're doing it wrong.
That's like if you're playing any Mario Party game. It's like, oh, you haven't burned a hole through the center of your palm yet? You're doing it wrong.
Get out of our level, scrub.
Right?
But yeah, that's that subject.
Yeah, those are some good peripherals, and most of which, I say most because the DDR pad and my candles can't really be used for anything else. I mean, well, maybe you could. I'll have to get in touch with Woody about the DDR pad.
I mean, have you seen people who have played whole video games on dance pads?
Yes, because I've also seen someone play Devil May Cry 3 with a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh yeah, somebody played Bloodborne with a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh my god, that's just masochism.
Yeah, people hate themselves. Hang on, let me...
People hate themselves. Let me show you.
But I know this all right. We're already here.
Ooh, wait. Jackie's a-typing. What's a Veggie Madness gonna say?
Man makes mockery of Bloodborne by beating it with Rock Band guitar controller.
The entirety of the internet tells him to get out. To be fair, Bloodborne is amazing.
It says apparently he did Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 as well.
I get it.
Oh, he beat the game with the bongos from Donkey Konga.
I hate him. Also,
How?
Jackie, no, I am not going to light that candle. Neither of them.
Romance.
See what you
Look,
could
I'm
do.
just saying, somebody wants to seduce a girl, you put on some nice Resident Evil with a creepy candle. I'm in.
Which one, Jackie? The corpse candle or the cedar blood candle?
I can't be seduced very easily. That's a lie, and Leo knows
That's
it.
That's a lie. That silence there wasn't because that silence was like, how do I phrase this that doesn't try to get the internet to try to seduce you and sound romantic at the same time? Because I know what I could use for this, and that's not a lot.
Oh, he was too busy giving you the death stare through the wall.
Yeah.
Stupid
He's
fucking
like,
question, Brandon.
I was like,
yeah,
it's not
corpse.
easy to seduce me. And Leo's like, it is.
It's like Leo's like, the fuck? I've got brownies, Resident Evil, and a corpse candle. Get over here.
I don't even have to get up.
Just ring.
I'll just
Literally days when Leo will be like, I'm gonna go get some breakfast. You want something? And I'm like, oh, it's almost like we're actually dating, but we're not.
Thank you, Jackie. Pat, pat. There it is.
That's that.
Now she saw it.
Pat, pat.
The sad news is that I know I've done that once when watching a movie because of how my room's set up. I don't have a good spot for chairs,
You're like, come.
but I have a
my bed.
TV, good spot for a TV.
Did you attempt to Netflix and chill?
No. Well, yes, but that was before I realized what Netflix and chill actually meant. I thought it meant watching
Tell him. Me.
Yeah.
I got to tell Leo what Netflix and chill meant.
Yeah. For the longest time, they were like,
I am one whole asexual being.
That can apparently be seduced by Resident Evil.
That's why I said it was like easy but also hard to like seduce me, because like you're not actually gonna seduce me, you're just gonna make me like you a little bit more.
but if you want to get her to like you, that part's not that hard if you know what you're getting.
Well, I mean, eventually when I figure out my shipping situation, there'll be a big old box of goodies going your guys' way.
And that's how...
If you need help with shipping, you just let me know.
No, never. Free shipping.
Well, looks like I'm out of the seduction box for a while. I should go get a soda or something.
That's all for tonight, folks. Bye-bye, says Jackie. I've made my joke for the day. I'm good to go. Quota met. Just gave me an okay sign.
I believe that we're... So does that mean that we're towards the end of this recording then?
I think we are. I think we've exhausted our topics, but they were good. We had some good discussions.
We did, even though we tried to derail it multiple times into Resident Evil.
It's well when they put something out that's new, and Capcom's doing an event, so that's
Yeah.
I should go look those up.
Somebody on Twitter said that if Capcom announces the Phoenix Wright 4 through 6 port to Switch, or if they announced Phoenix Wright 7, they would buy a copy for everybody who retweets that. And I was like, come on, TGS! Do not let me down. I want the Apollo Justice and Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice and whatever the other one, they said 4 through 7.
Something of Justice, I don't know.
Something. I want them.
On that note, did you ever get the DLC for those?
I have never finished Dual Destinies, so I never played Spirit of Justice.
Aww.
I need to, but I played the first 3. I got a case and a half into Dual Destinies, but I had burnt myself out because I got super duper sick. I have this really awful habit of I just don't get like a little bit sick. I get like death sick. And so I got sinus infection, ear infection, and upper respiratory infection stacked on top of the flu. And so I was just basically walking death at this one point, and I replayed the first 3 games because I got the HD collection on my iPod Touch. And I replayed them, and then I played Apollo Justice. And then I just like within like a 3.5 week period, I played all of them and was like super burnt out, so I never finished Dual Destinies.
Like, and I'm done.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go back to them. I was gifted the trilogy on Steam, and I have it on my iPad still. I mean, because I got my iPod Touch, but I have my iPad for art. So like, I've got options on how to play it.
Right.
I just need to actually do it.
Fair enough. Well,
But
I think that concludes it, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, if we are to run up the tally of things that we learned today, it takes an awful lot of time to get songs from the Beatles to the Beatles. I spent an awful lot more money on Rock Band than I should have. Resident Evil is a can of worms if you talk to any of us with that.
Yeah, with infinite hammer space.
There's a can of worms, and pull up a chair. You're going to be here for a while. Did you go to the bathroom? Make sure you went first.
Also bring snacks.
Bring snacks. You're going to need it. You're going to need that boost of energy while we're still here. And Resident Evil comes with scented candles if you do everything right.
Yes, the best kind. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you stay tuned for the next one next month. Bye-bye.
Laters.